What's up, y'all? Will here at Schedulefly. This was the second in-person episode that I was super fortunate to get to do down in the Jacksonville beach area. This is with Chris Kelly of Al's Pizza. Al's has been around for 35 years. They have 5 locations of Al's Pizza, and then their group, which Al owns, has multiple other concepts. And I actually met some folks prior to doing this podcast with Chris that knew Al and talked about what a great guy he is and how sharp he is and how good of a business person he is and a community leader. So I did not actually get a chance to meet Al, maybe next time, but I did get to meet Chris Kelly. And Chris is his director of operations for the 5 Al's Pizza locations. I've spoken to him quite a few times over the phone over the last couple of years. Super dude. It was very clear. Just a great guy. Easy to talk to. Kind. Thoughtful. Great Australian accent. And I've always wanted to have an opportunity to meet him. So here it was. And I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. I enjoyed hanging out with Chris. I enjoyed getting to meet some of the teammates there at the Neptune Beach location. And Chris, you sent us with 4 pizzas to go down to this guys weekend that we were heading to down south of Orlando, and those pizzas got crushed. A lot of comments about, damn, this is good pizza. So thank you very much for the pizzas, Chris. Thank you for taking the time to do this, and thank you all for listening. Before we dive in, I want to share a word from our sponsor, Pop Menu. Now, in the last episode with Taco Lou and Don Nickel, we just had him talk about Pop Menu because he's a customer. He's a customer of Pop Menu and Schedulefly. So that was the endorsement. But we're going to go back to the script, if you will, on this one. I didn't get to talk to Chris about Pop Menu. I meant to. So Chris, if you're listening to this, I'd recommend checking them out. Give me a call. I can tell you more about them. Great business. They use them over at Taco Lou. But so here we go, folks. Our sponsor, Pop Menu. They're a new partner of Schedulefly, and here's why we love them and why we believe it's a great product that a lot of our mutual customers use and really enjoy and have had great success with. So Pop Menu is all about making your day easier and your sales bigger. They will simplify your marketing operations, bring in more guests, capture customer data and for personalized remarketing to keep them coming back. With one super simple to use platform that integrates with most point of sales, Pop Menu starts with a beautifully designed, easy to update interactive menu that transforms the guest experience online. It includes a brand new website that's optimized for search engines like Google for no additional cost, automated digital marketing, online ordering and waitlisting, and you'll never miss another call with their new AI answering solution. Costs as little as 47 cents an hour. They've answered over 1 million phone calls with this for their customer base. And there's so much more in there. So great company, great product, great customer service, a lot of happy mutual customers that we share at Schedulefly. And that is all. Check them out. There's a link in the show notes. And with that, here we go with Chris Kelly. Al's Pizza, Jacksonville Beach, Florida, recorded at the Neptune Beach location. And wonderful, wonderful dude. Great conversation. Enjoy. See ya. All right, we are recording. Really cool opportunity for me to finally meet Chris Kelly down at Al's Pizza. We're at the Neptune Beach, Florida location today, and thank you for doing this, man.
No problem. Nice to meet you as well in person.
Yeah, absolutely. We've talked a lot of times over the phone, so this is really cool. So we're at your Neptune Beach location of Al's. How many locations of Al's are there now?
So we've got 5 locations.
Okay.
We have the Neptune Beach, our San Pablo Beach Boulevard location, which is our very first location. 35 years ago, we opened that one. Then we also have our Ponte Vedra location, our Riverside location, and we also have our Bay Meadows location.
And then you've got other concepts in the group.
We do. So we also have our Flying Iguana and Iguana on Park location, which are our Latin fusion tequila restaurants. Then we have Coop 303, which is our gastropub, burgers, fried chicken, sandwiches, but elevated. And then we have Mezzaluna, which is our fine dining Italian restaurant.
Okay.
So we kind of hit all levels of restaurant group.
Well, I don't know Al. I've never even spoken to Al. But I'll tell you that I was over at what's the little breakfast place right across from your Coop 303? Homespun or
Homespun Kitchen.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I go over there early this morning, having some coffee, sitting outside, and this young mom is sitting there, like her kids are kind of running around, and so I'm one of those guys. I just like never met a stranger. People think I'm either like friendly or maybe like I'm a weird, because I just start talking to people. So I start talking to her, and it turns out she's actually from North Carolina, where I'm from, and we know a lot of the same types of folks. But she's like, "What are you doing here?" And I start telling her about Schedule Fly and this podcast, that I do. And I'm like, "Man, I'm so excited! I'm going over to meet Chris Kelly over at Al's today." And she's like, "Well, let me tell you something. Al is like a restaurant savant. She knows him. Like her and her husband know him." And she's like, "We'll be sitting down, like eating dinner, and he'll look at at some restaurant. He'll be like, your cost of goods on your food on that plate right now is $6.47. She's like, everything he's done works. Like he does all these different concepts. Everything seems to work. So I tip my hat to him, you, and y'all's whole group, because what a nice compliment. That's hard to do. That's really hard to do, to try these different things. And restaurants are a freaking tough business.
It is, especially having such a wide variety of restaurants within our group.
Yeah.
And it's not like a lot of times when you see diversified groups of restaurants, you see them with a lot of franchise. So they already have they bought some system that's working.
Yeah.
Al created the systems. He created these concepts. It's not where he's taken it from somewhere and bought the rights to it. He's done it himself. And it all goes back to about how you do business.
Yeah.
You do business the right way. That's why he's been in restaurants for 35 years.
What is the right way?
It's looking after your people.
Yeah.
We have a lot of people within the Al's Pizza Group that have worked for Al for over 20 years, over 15 years.
Yeah.
The majority of our workforce has worked for us for more than 5 years, which is unheard of in the hospitality industry.
Yes, it is.
You get someone at 2 years, you're like, you're the long-term guy.
That's a big win.
We should make you a partner. You've been here so long. But, it goes back to, again, how Al is as a person and how he does his business. We also have a lot of long-term, relationships with the people we've been dealing with.
Yeah.
We've been with you for a number of years. Our food supplier, Cisco, which is a massive organization, a worldwide organization, we're one of the longest serving Jacksonville customers for them.
Really?
So we can punch way above our weight with a company like Cisco because we've been with them for 35 years.
Are you, you've been here for 6 years, you said?
I've been in Jacksonville for 6 years. I've been with Al for 2.5 years.
Okay. 2.5 years.
Yeah.
I thought it was longer than that for some reason.
No.
Because I know I've talked to you a few times. You're easy to remember because you have this awesome Australian accent. Like, I don't have many customers that have you're easy to remember.
I kind of stand out.
You're always so freaking nice too, man. Like, let's back up. Like, I always like to find out, why did you get into hospitality? And when?
Yeah, so I was actually 14. And I had to go get a job. I used to play a lot of soccer as a kid. My parents were like, "Here, you got the gear that you need, the boots."
Were you in Australia then?
In Australia.
Okay, so you're okay.
And like most teenagers, no, I want something better. And my parents went, "Well, go get a job so you can pay for them." Yeah. So I did, and I went down to my local I went down to my local bakery, and it just happened to be a franchise chain in Australia. Went there and got a job selling bread at the front of the house. After school and on the weekends. And then as I was going through high school, bakers are hard to find. Not everyone wants to get up at midnight, 2 a.m.
Sure, yeah.
So then I started working as a baker's assistant, which for me was great on the weekends because I could start work at 6 o'clock in the morning. I could work for 6 hours and then go play my sport in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And as a teenager and 20-something, that was fantastic.
Absolutely.
And then when I went into college, I started baking full-time because I could do my 40, 50 hours a week and then go to class at 10 o'clock in the morning. So I did that. I got my baking trade and then got my degrees, left school and okay, what am I going to do? And then I was able to work with that franchise group and get my own bakeries and stuff like that. And then, as I say, the rest is history.
When did you come to the States?
I came to the States about 8 years ago.
Why did you come to the States?
Because of my wife. I married a good Floridian girl.
Yeah.
And
you met her, so she was in Australia?
no, we actually met over here.
Okay.
We met in Las Vegas. She was working there at the time. She used to work for Zappos, the shoe company.
Oh, what a freaking great company.
Yeah, she was one of their main buyers.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Holy cow. I read Tony's, rest in peace, his Delivering Happiness book years ago, and just like,
Yeah.
I mean, blown away. I love that. Oh, man.
So, yeah, she was a very early employee with them.
Freaking awesome.
Back when they were in, like, their Henderson offices.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I had a friend that moved over to Vegas for work. I had some vacation time, so went to Vegas to see my mate, and his neighbor was my wife, and we met, and we did the whole long distance thing until we got married.
That's like real long distance.
Yeah, Sydney to Las Vegas is about as far as you can get.
Dude.
Yeah.
Congrats, brother. That's awesome, man. Oh, I'd have a million questions for you. I was like obsessed with that business. I mean, Amazon brought them in. I know, like, they're kind of unwinding it all now, I think. But God, that was like the most amazing story. And I remember early days, like freaking ordering shoes, and they'd like show up the next morning, like no shipping. Like, it was brilliant. Just brilliant. Well, so you met her, you moved here, but you said you moved down here from Manhattan, so you're in New York?
So then we moved out here and went, well, you're in fashion, I'm in food, where should we go? Manhattan's the obvious choice.
Yeah.
So Manhattan, and basically I had to start all over again.
Yeah.
So we started dishwashing.
Yeah.
Started shift leading very quickly, get back to that jam level. Then going to that district manager level.
Yeah.
With a couple of great companies in Manhattan. Then we had our kid and realized how expensive Manhattan is.
Good grief.
And could move to Florida for the same price as his daycare. So that's what brought us to Jacksonville.
Okay. And you got your in-laws are
my
down
in-laws,
in Daytona.
Yeah.
So that's where your wife grew up?
Yeah. So all of her family's, in this part of Florida.
Okay.
So, that's what kind of where we picked Jacksonville. And then a couple of different things here. And then, about 2.5 years ago, actually through my wife, she was doing some of the marketing for Al. And Al was saying, look, I'm having all these problems, finding staff, trying to come out of COVID, and just really trying to modernize how I do things.
Yeah.
While still keeping my history intact.
Yeah.
When you've been around doing something for 35 years, people know what an Al's Pizza is.
Right.
And we've got to keep that heart and that DNA in what we do. But how do we become more modern? How do we embrace the third-party technology? How do we embrace, some of that social media marketing? How do we embrace the efficiencies that we need to build within our restaurants given the labor costs and the food costs these days?
Yeah.
So then Al and I got talking. I said, this is how I think we should do it. And he goes, great, come do that for me. And that's what I've been working on ever since.
Yeah, that's really cool, man. That's awesome. Well, so do you? I'm looking around at some of your tech. You talk about some technology. I see Grubhub over there. What point of sale do you use there?
We use Heartland point of sale.
Okay.
But one of the really unique things around us with the third parties is we do all our own deliveries.
Oh, okay.
So you can order through any of the third parties.
Yeah.
And it will be an Al's Pizza delivery guy that will turn up. So one of the great things with that is it allows us to control that process so much more.
I've always wondered about that because, like, with the like DoorDash or whatever. I look. First of all, let me say, I've never owned a restaurant. I don't think I could do it. I have so much. This is why I do this. That's why I love doing the podcast. I have so much respect for y'all and like what it takes to own and successfully run independent restaurants is like this skill set that I find to be fascinating because it's a very broad skill set. It probably requires a broader skill set than almost anything you could do because you're touching like every aspect of the economy, every aspect of the supply chain. It's a frenetic pit. There's so much that goes into it. But I do find that the people that do it really, really well, like y'all and like Taco Lou and all these places, it's so much of it's about people and the experience that that you're going to provide your guests consistently and execute on that every day. And I've always wondered, like, okay, but as soon as like DoorDash picks up an order, like the food is your food, but like when are they going to pick it up? Is it going to get there hot? Like then you just lose, and you lose control of the experience.
You do,
which I've always wondered about that. Like I feel like I'd be so anxious about that as if I owned a restaurant, about like, yeah, but now like, okay, I'm handing it to this dude or this gal. Like that's it. Like I don't know what's going to happen between here and there. Even if they're like in a bad mood and like they're like treat the customer crappy, even though it's DoorDash, it still reflects on my brand, right? And
yeah, and you see that so often with a lot of restaurant reviews in particular, where my food turned up cold. I had this terrible experience, and then when you actually look into it, you find out they ordered through one of these third parties. Yeah. And it took so long because it took so long for their courier to come and get the food. It wasn't the restaurant's fault.
Right.
And so we've been able to minimize a lot of that by doing our own delivery. So it's been great for us because it actually allows us to keep our delivery drivers on and running. So through COVID, we had to trim back.
Yeah.
There are times, so we'd have a little peak time at lunch. Then, on that off-peak, a lot of our restaurants stopped doing delivery, and then we'd pick back up again at dinner time. That didn't make any sense to me, because if you want customers, why shut the doors?
Right.
And pizza is a delivery product.
Yeah.
So what we did is we actually set out, and at the time I came on board, we only had DoorDash. That was it.
Yeah.
So we've actually gone out and actually brought in the other two, and it's been interesting conversations because they don't necessarily want you to do self-delivery.
Right.
Because for them, essentially, all my orders that come in are pickup customers.
Yeah.
So they can only really charge me a pickup rate.
Right.
So I get to be on these third parties competing with everyone else who's paying 10, 15-fold what I am.
Right.
Because I do my own delivery. So instantly on that order, I say, and that's one of the problems with the third parties, they take 30, 40% of that order.
Yeah.
I basically get to redirect a lot of that money back into my labor cost.
Yeah.
Because I have my own delivery drivers. If there's ever any issue with any of these orders, my customers aren't having to go back to some third-party call center in who knows where, trying to figure out what the problem is. And by the time I get, hey, there was a problem, back at the restaurant level, it's through 2 hours later. So then by the time someone would come pick up the food again, that customer's not getting that food for 2-3 hours after they had a problem.
Yeah.
If we ever had an issue, we can fix it straight there. It's my delivery guy standing there at the door.
Yeah.
Calls back the store and says, hey, we need to fix this. We've got the customer's not happy with that. We start making it while he's on his way back. As soon as he walks in the door that's coming out of the oven, he turns around and goes straight back to that customer.
Yeah.
And the same guy that said, I can help you at your door, turns back up. A few minutes later, here you go, I've solved your problem.
Yep.
And having that power and control is something we never want to lose.
Yeah. I love that, man. Love that. It's so important. Each interaction with customers. I was talking this morning with my buddy here about there's a story about it's like the parable of the starfish, but it's like this dude is walking down the beach and he sees this young girl, and she's like, there's like miles and miles of starfish that have washed up, and she's like walking up and picking them up and throwing them back into the ocean one by one. And the man's like, hi, young lady, like, that's really cool. So you're throwing them back in the ocean, And she's like, yeah, I don't want them to die. Like, I want to throw them back in so they'll live. And he's like, yeah, that's cool, but there's like miles and miles I can see. As far as I can see, there's thousands of starfish that are washed up. Like, there's nothing you're going to be able to do. And, you can't make a dent in all this. Like, you'll never get to all of them. She's like, so he's like, why does it matter? And she picks one up and she throws it in the ocean. She goes, it matters to that one. Like, I love that so much because it just, that whole idea that, like, you can control, there's things you can't control, but each interaction you have, like, every single one matters so much. I find it fascinating. This is the big thing I always try to figure out is, like, you get that. Al gets that. But finding people, you got all these restaurants, how many people do y'all employ total?
Across all our 9 restaurants, we're in the hundreds.
Yeah. Finding people that are, 16, 18, 25, that are just looking for a job. Like finding people that will, even it's small, like a fraction of the passion and dedication and understand that. Like, but finding people that can embrace that in some way and really do care about that interaction, particularly in today's world. I mean, I got 3 kids, 19, 16, 13. Like, it's just a different vibe. Like, and so like getting people that are like understand, like, keep it simple. It does not rocket science. All you got to do is like look people in the eyes, care about them, thank them for being there, do what you say you're going to do, try to make everything right for your customer. Like, it's hard, right, to find people that'll do that consistently.
It is, but it's also you attract what you give out too.
Ah,
right?
okay.
And so, in-house pizza, I mean, we've essentially for the last best part of 2.5 years been 100% staffed.
Dude, that's impressive.
Holy like cow. Everything, you have the ebbs and flows where maybe we lose 2 or 3
that's
people.
That's rare, man.
But we'll get that filled within a week.
Really?
More often than not, we have more applications than we know what to do with.
Well, you're doing something right, man.
Because the problem has always not been a recruitment problem; it's always been a retention problem. Everyone's always been yelling, especially through COVID, it's a recruitment problem. It's a recruitment. No, it's a retention problem.
Yeah.
If no one wants to leave you, then you don't have to hire anyone. How
do you keep them?
It's very, very simple. You just treat people right. And you let them enjoy their job for what it is, One of the big shifts that we've undertaken in the last 2.5 years is really push a lot more ownership onto our stores.
Mm-hmm.
We've got, in the Alice Pizza World, we've got 5 restaurants, and it's just me above them. Restaurant life is restaurant life, but I'm at a point where I love my wife and kids. So it's about getting that balance right.
Amen, yeah.
And one of the great things with that is it also then allows me to develop my general managers. So, let's lift them up. Let's start making them take a bit of ownership, and let's treat them like business owners.
Yeah.
Why there's nothing for us to hide with them.
Right.
Let's show them the results. Let's empower them to go chase the sales. Let's empower them to know their costs. Let them know, what's the supply chain like. Let's sit in on those conversations.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the marketing direction. So each one of my 5 GMs actually has a secondary responsibility. So one of them is actually the marketing manager for the brand. Another one is my food and beverage director. And he looks after everything to do with our supply chain and a lot of our food and beverage. Another one's looking after all of our HR components. So how are we recruiting people? What job fairs are coming up? How are we looking after people? Right down to, does everyone have a uniform in the restaurant when they start? Are we carrying enough restaurant supply? Another one is looking after all of our small wares and equipment. So making sure that, hey, we have something simple as, do we have enough plates in the restaurant? Do we have enough knives and forks in every restaurant? Those things irritate people in kitchens where they're like, I have to wash this plate 10 times in a service because we don't have enough plates. We don't have that issue.
Yeah.
And another one's always constantly looking at all of our, procedures and policies, like how are we doing stuff? What do we need to update? Do we need a new training guide? Do we need to adapt things? Do we need to translate this into a different language? Because great, we have it written down in English, but, this kitchen is mainly Hispanic or from another part of the world, or, hey, we have some people who it's their second language, so let's translate it into their first.
Yeah. So
then they understand it better. The other thing that we've done, which is I think pretty unique, is we really embrace some community stuff, especially in the world of people with intellectual differences. So we actually currently have over 15 employees with IDDs. We do a lot of stuff, with the North Florida School of Special Education here, which is essentially a high school for people with IDDs. And it runs through to about 22, 23. And part of that, they actually have just started a culinary program.
What is the acronym you just said?
IDD, so Intellectual Developmental Differences.
Okay, got it.
Because that's the broad-ranging term.
Yeah.
And, because different levels for different things. But through this culinary program, we were talking to them about, okay, well, if someone's trying to get a job, what's their biggest problem? And they go, they go through the school, they have like a little cafe there, they have a few things. So people got a little bit of, kitchen experience. And they go out to the real world trying to find a job with one of the employment advocacy agencies. Everyone's like, well, that's great, but what have you really done?
Yeah.
What do you already know? And then with these people, it's a little bit slower learning curve.
Sure.
And unfortunately, a lot of people aren't that patient. So when we got talking, they're like, we want to do a culinary program where we're really focusing in on culinary skills, knife work, prep work, actually line work, reading tickets. And so part of that program is, we help them with some of that stuff, giving them some of our information so they know how to make some of our products. And then part of that too is they do field trips every week for their entire semester, and and 9 of those field trips are in our restaurant, so they can see real live kitchens working, operating, living and breathing. They hate it when I say this, but they have a great kitchen, and it is a fully functioning kitchen, but it is a very controlled environment.
Yeah.
Now, it's very different. They do a very good job mimicking a real kitchen with the pressures and the speed and the heartbeat, but it is still very controlled.
Right.
So that's where the field trips are great, because they get out here and they work with our chefs. They talk to our people. They actually get hands-on with them. And then when they finish that program, we've offered a 12-week internship for all of them. So they can actually come on in and actually work like an employee. So right now I have one of their graduates. So they just had a program that finished up end of last year. So January, February is when they sort of all started to come through to start their internship. So one right now is running my pantry line at lunch. Another one is working on a saute line. Another one is doing prep in one of our higher end restaurants.
Oh, that's awesome.
Another one is doing some prep portioning and front of house stuff around like busting tables and running food, and it's giving them that real world experience.
Oh man.
And when I said we have 15 people with IDDs, I don't count those 4 because they're not technically on our payroll yet, because they're in part of the internship program.
That's so cool, man. I love that.
So we've been very lucky where we've been able to identify, okay, well, I can break down so many of my subtasks into such simple, repetitive jobs, which these people love doing.
Yeah.
But, portioning out something on a scale, that's a process.
Right.
But I can do that with so many different elements within my restaurant that it doesn't matter what I'm putting in that bag. It's still the same process.
Right.
So they're doing the same process. Now, I have them in for 15 hours. That takes 15 hours off my line cook. So now I only need half a line cook for the day.
Yeah.
I've now solved my employment problem.
Yeah, and your line cook is not, getting burned out and working. So, that's awesome.
So my line cook just has to worry about the tickets that are coming up, and they can spend the time getting that dish perfect, because they're not going, okay, I now need to prep my station. I need to portion out this. I need to get this ready. I need to do this. They just need to worry about their station, the ticket that pops up, that dish that's going out to that guest. Is this got my full energy into it?
When you're talking about the GMs and giving them additional responsibilities and, transparency and ownership, there's a book I read years ago called Drive, and it's about what motivates people. And I probably read it 10 years ago, but I'll never forget. It was so compelling. The guy I talked about, his name is Daniel Pink, and he said that the 3 things that motivate, because it's always like, well, is it pay or what? He's like, it's autonomy, mastery, and purpose.
Yep.
Autonomy, mastery, purpose. The more autonomy people have, the more they're able to master what they're doing, and it gives them purpose. And like, if you can find a way to get that balance in an organization, it's such a big way to keep people motivated and engaged and not wanting to go somewhere else, because they have those things. They have, the more autonomy they have, the more they master what they're doing, the more purpose and fulfillment they get. I always found that really fascinating. It seems like a lot of organizations like yours, like when you strike that balance, it really, there's what you're talking about. Like, people aren't leaving. They're staying because they have that, and they have room to grow and learn, and now they've got, like each one has this separate silo across aisles that that's freaking awesome, man. Yeah,
look, that's where, like, I say to my people, they're like, oh, yeah, all right, boss, whatever. I said, no, I'm not your boss. Your GM's your boss. My job is to make sure you have what you need to do your job.
Right. Yeah.
And that's my job, is to make sure you have all the skills and all the resources you need to do your job.
Yeah, you're serving the people that work for you. That's Well, let me ask you this, man. So you've been at this a long time. This industry has gone through so much change over the last couple of decades and continues to. I think it's awesome because, it used to be like this kind of like work hard, play hard, like everybody's on, like you're busting it like a long night and you're in the weeds and it's tough, and then everybody goes out and parties together, and then that fosters this like culture of there's a lot of substance abuse and there's all this kind of the
Yes.
Side of the restaurants that leads to some problems for people, and I feel like that's changed a lot and continues to. But I think that great operators like y'all are finding, well, to take a step back, the upside of that, if you will, is that created such a tight bond in this like family community environment for a lot of restaurant people. Now people like y'all are having to find ways, better, more healthy ways to keep people engaged, and because the family culture in a restaurant is a big part of like why it works.
Yes.
Like a good one's, why it works.
And especially our group as well. We refer, because we're so diverse in the type of restaurants we are. We refer to them. It's the family of restaurants.
Yeah.
And sometimes we've got to do what's right for the family.
Right.
We don't want someone to leave the family for an opportunity. So right now, one of our servers from Mezzaluna, which is our fine dining restaurant, she really wanted to get into management.
Yeah.
And if you've ever been involved in a fine dining restaurant, or even if you've gone to one and just watch all the moving parts,
Yeah.
it takes a lot of work to manage one of them.
Heck yeah.
You come into one of my Al's Pizzas, there's a lot less moving parts in one of these.
Right.
So to make that step up, it's like, well, don't go somewhere else for that opportunity. Come work a couple of days a week in the Al's Pizzas. We'll teach you the management side of things. Because, by the way, we all use the same back-of-house systems.
Yeah.
We all use the same POS system.
Right.
We all use the same scheduling system.
Yeah.
We all use the same... all those managerial systems are exactly the same across all our concepts.
Yeah.
So, whether you're doing a schedule for 10 people or you're doing a schedule for 75 people, the process is the same.
Right.
But it's easier to get your head wrapped around doing it for 10 people.
Yeah.
And to teach someone how to do it
Yep.
in depth for 10 people, and then you gradually bring them out, then you gradually bring them out, and then you gradually bring them out. But what it meant is, more importantly for the family group, was our flagship restaurant is not losing their best server.
Right.
Because she's not going to go look for an opportunity somewhere else.
Yes. Yep.
And because it's family, when they're busy, it's okay if she can't make her shift this week because she's busy over there.
Yeah.
We can adjust the schedule. We talk
Yeah.
amongst ourselves and go, okay, you have a much greater need this week
Yeah.
because you've got 3 people out on vacation.
Right.
Do your hours over there that week.
Yeah.
Now we're back to normal. Okay, we do a couple of days here, a couple of days there, and you're good.
And now you've got this staff member that, like like if you could keep them 2 years and they're got like that was a good thing, but now this is the person that winds up being here 5 years, 10 years, whatever, because
and that's how you do it.
Yeah, and you have opportunities to grow within the family.
I have another person that was one of my servers in Al's Pizza, and young, she's 24, looking around, all her friends have like graduated college, and college was never her thing. And she's like, okay, well, I don't know what I want to do.
Yeah. I
said, well, what do you want to try? Like, I've always wanted to get into like bartending, things like that. Great. Our Iguana concept has margarita bars, like full bars, where they're mixing drinks. Like legitimate bars. Why don't you go there 2 days a week? For like 2 or 3 months, have a feel of it, see what you think.
Yeah.
And if you love it, move over there.
Yep.
But at least you got a taste of it without having to leave.
Yeah.
She went there and went, bartending's not my thing. I said, great, come be a manager then.
That's awesome.
And now, we're working with her. A year after that conversation, now we're working with her about, okay, how do we get you to that GM level? Yeah. How do we keep giving you those extra responsibilities? Yeah. And she's all in because she's going, I have gone out and been able to try stuff, but I didn't have to jeopardize losing my core job. I didn't have to, cash in all the brownie points that I've already earned within my current job. I got that experience. I got that try. Realized I love what I do. Yeah. And she's come back so much more engaged and passionate and knowing this is what I want to do forever. Yeah. Because she was able to go try it essentially risk-free. Yep. Whereas too often in our industry, people have to go, yeah, look, I'm not getting an opportunity here unless someone dies ahead of me. So I have to leave this place I love that's I've been working at for 2 years and go somewhere else to get that opportunity or get that promotion. Or
Right.
We're also in Al's Pizza kind of manager heavy, but that's okay because if someone's good enough, they should have the job.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not uncommon to see one of my managers on the floor serving and acting as a server that shift because we've got 2 managers that are scheduled that day. One's the actual manager for the day, and the other one's just doing a serving shift. But hey, I still have two managers in the building.
Yeah.
But just because they're good enough means they should be able to have that responsibility within the restaurant.
Yeah.
Too often again in our industry, no, we only have 3 managers in the building. That's it. It doesn't matter how good you are. Unless one of them leaves, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So then you start losing really good people for that opportunity.
Yeah.
Instead, I'd much prefer to go, well, let's carry one more and you guys have got to split it in and out a little bit. But then that also means now, instead of having 1 manager in the building at all times, I now have 2.
Yeah. How many kids do you have now?
I got 2 kids.
How old are they?
5 and 5 months.
Oh, dude. Oh, man. 5. Sleeping through the night?
Was up until last week. And then knowing my daughter, who's 5 months, clearly knew I had this today. I was up every hour last night.
Dude.
She's just about to start breaking her first teeth.
Yeah, that's what happens around then.
Yeah.
Well, congrats, man. So that's cool. Well, I ask you that because it's great. It's tough to find balance. I mean, like you want to have time with your family and your kids. There's demands of work. But when you're in a great organization that understands that and all helps each other, I'm sure that makes it a lot easier.
It definitely does. And one of the things that we've instilled within our manager group is each one of our managers, whether you're a shift lead, whether you're a GM, or you're a kitchen manager, whatever you are, if you're a manager in our business, you have what we call a protected day off. Meaning if Wednesday is one of your days off and that's your protected day, you'll know in 2 months' time you'll be off on a Wednesday.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Now, because too often in this industry, it's, you make plans with family, you make plans to just simply go to a doctor, or to go to the DMV to get something organized, and then you get that call, hey, you got to come in.
Yeah.
It's one of the nasty beasts of our industry.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one of the ways we've been able to counter that, everyone talks about work-life balance. Well, how we could, really prove that, and really ensure that for our people is go, okay, what's your protected day off?
Yeah.
And each one they all get 2 days off, but we give them at least that one that's protected. Like, we will move meetings, we will move everything. I'll have someone come from another restaurant to cover that restaurant before we call that person in on their protected day off.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Because that's their protected day off.
Yeah, that's important. That's a big deal. Yeah.
But they also know tomorrow when it's not their protected day off,
it's
the other GMs.
Right.
Right, and they're having an issue, they'll go help out the other GM because yesterday they did the same for them.
Yeah.
And that helps tighten the group. A lot of times you get, like you're talking about before, where you get that family atmosphere within a restaurant.
Yeah.
And a lot of times you'll see it either like if the kitchen is really tight or the front of house is really tight. If you're really lucky, the entire restaurant is really tight like that. What we've been able to do over the last couple of years is really get all 5 of our Al's Pizza restaurants tight like that.
Mm-hmm.
If someone calls out, it's not just the restaurant that's trying to cover, it's the other restaurants.
Yeah.
Like, I might have someone who can come over it's going to take them maybe a little bit longer to get there, but I got you. I got someone who's on their way.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome, man.
Like, I got my pizza maker, he works tonight, but, I don't think he has anything this morning. Let me give him a call.
Yeah.
See if he can get over there. And Jacksonville's a big place to go from our furthest restaurant on one way to our furthest restaurant the other way is about 35 minutes.
Yeah.
But, I've had a guy get in an Uber and go across. He's like, I'll go help him out.
Well, on that note, you're out here. I've seen this all over the country the last few years. All of beach areas, ski resorts. I mean, money has been basically free for 15 years for wealthy people. So all the, real estate's been bought up and prices are jacked up. And then now I'm starting to see a lot of people that have, this issue of like, okay, well, we're in, this cool town, this resort town. Our staff has to live a long way just to get to work because they can't afford to live. Do you see that here, or is that not?
We only have that with one of our locations.
Okay.
Kind of.
Okay.
Our Ponte Vedra location, which is, on the top end of St. Johns County, south end of Jacksonville. It is very much like that. But again, it's people can still get there.
Yeah.
They want to go there. It's also our biggest volume restaurant.
Yeah, people probably tip pretty well there too.
Yeah. But what we have there is a lot more loyalty, because we have so much loyalty from our guests because of that, and then in turn, our staff members have that same loyalty because they like seeing the same people every day.
Right.
They become part of their life. They become part of that experience. One of our managers now in that location, she went to that restaurant as a kid.
Wow.
She remembers moving to Jacksonville with her parents. They bought a place down the road. She remembers going there as a kid. Then in high school, when she wanted to go get a job, first place she tried was the Al's Pizza that she'd been going to.
Yeah.
Started as a host, as a cashier, then as a server, and is now one of our managers.
That's awesome. That's amazing. That's incredible to have that type of longevity of,
And so many of the guests have seen her grow up.
Yeah.
And so they're very invested in, what are you doing? How's your life? How are your parents going? Because I've seen you in here eating with your parents and your siblings. And
yeah.
And that is such an intangible thing to get in the service industry. You said before, how do you get the people who care? That's how you get the people who care. Because they become your champions. They become that rally cry for that culture, that this is how we do things. We almost, I consciously go and tell servers, don't rush the service. You go everywhere else, they're trying to flip tables as quick as they can. How many turns can I get in a dinner service?
Yeah.
Look, on a Friday night, that matters. But the rest of the time, why are you rushing someone? Talk to them. Get to know them.
Yeah.
Build that relationship.
Yeah.
Because they'll come back because they want you as
their
server.
You really want your servers, your bartender, your front. To me, it's I would want to own my section, right? Or if I'm a bartender, I want to own. In other words, you are providing me my product, my inventory. But I'm going to be my own little business within the business of the better I treat these people, the more engaging I am, the better experience I can provide. Not only am I going to make more money because I'll get a better tip, but then they're going to want to come back. Maybe they'll start asking for me. And now I'm building this little following of customers within the broader following of Al's Pizza customers, or, any of your other concepts. And that's, is that right?
And that's what we do.
That's what you would, I just that's how I just look at things.
Yeah.
I've always been a business owner, and I I want to own that process and
and
own
that's
that
the
experience.
Culture we've really tried to develop within our people.
Yeah.
And even do that to our own delivery drivers. We touched on before how we get to control that delivery line.
Yeah.
And a big part of when we bring a driver in, I'm you're a server at someone's door.
Yeah.
You need to have that same mentality as a server in the restaurant.
Yeah.
But you're at the person's door.
Yeah.
Because we have such good regularity of our business that, you're going to deliver to them again and again and again. And a lot of our customers will say, hey, is Will delivering tonight? Yeah, look, I don't mind waiting another 15 minutes if I can have him deliver.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
If it will be another half an hour, no problem.
Yeah.
But can he bring my food? And then turn up, have that little 5-minute talk and chat, catch up. How was your week? Build that relationship. And we have a lot of our delivery drivers who've done that service at your door. We have that in all of our restaurants as well. I was in one of our restaurants yesterday, and one of our guests stopped me and started talking to me. He goes, I haven't seen you for a month, but I wanted to tell you I've actually been sick for 3 weeks. That's why I haven't seen you. I was like, are you feeling better now? She goes, yeah. He goes, but you know what was really good? Is 2 of your servers kept calling me every 2 days to see how I was doing.
Really?
Checking in. And then they found out that I was in hospital, so they actually sent me some food.
Holy
my
cow.
Usual order up to the hospital for me.
That's freaking brilliant. God, that's incredible. Man.
And then here I am going, well, how do you train that? How do I capture that? But like that's the stuff that we encourage. That's the stuff that we want our people to do.
Yeah.
Like when we talk about get to know your guest.
Yeah.
It's so much more than just their order.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Or where they like to sit.
Yeah. That's amazing, dude. God, that's incredible. I get chills hearing that story. My daughter started last week as a hostess, first job and I'm like, look. It's like before she went, she's like, I'm kind of nervous. I'm like, man, like all good. Like here's what I want you to think about. Like, okay. You're not like just a hostess working for this restaurant. You are, her name's Bella. I'm like, you're Bella Bra. Like that, your brand, like you control that. So what does that mean? It means that like I want you to not just greet people and take them to their table. I want you to be going around like the man, like like if it's slow, what can I do to help? You know, I want you to be looking around for things. I want you to be engaging your new teammates. Like you can control everything about like what happens once somebody comes in there and what you do while you're there, and make yourself invaluable, because what you want is you want them to see you as somebody that like not only do they pay, but they really want to keep. And the more you do to go above and beyond, don't just do what they tell you to do. Like find ways to add value to the process, find ways to engage your staff and customers. And then like at some point they're going to be like, hey, do you want to try serving? And you're going to do the same thing, and you're going to own that process. And like you are your brand. And you in a restaurant, it's like this amazing place where you can do as well as you want, and you can be as successful as you want, like truly. And it's like, to me, it's like the most meritocratic environment where doesn't matter where you went to school, doesn't matter what color your skin is, doesn't matter what your sexual all it matters is like, hey man, like, are you going to show up when you're supposed to and be a good teammate and focus, be outward focused, not inward focused, and try to like make things great for everybody around you? Like the sky's the limit. Like if you have that mentality, you can start as a, dishwasher or busser at age 14, and one day you can be part of this great group. It supports you and gives you autonomy and mastery and purpose, and then maybe you could even own start your own place one day and then provide those opportunities for. It's like it never ends in restaurants. It's like
when you moving to Jacksonville.
I know, man. But anyway, I had this, and she's like, but I mean, I was like, really, like, just do those things. It's not like, and just make yourself invaluable. And, and so we'll see. I mean, she's had like 3 days of work now. So, we'll see how it goes. But
again, you get in this industry, and so often people are like, yeah, that's great. They turn up, the joke is they turn up and they're wearing pants. Great. That they're good. But one of the things that we really preach to is you can control that in the next step further by the more you learn, the more you earn.
Yeah, that's
so
right.
So we actually pay people more for the more stations they know, the more positions they know.
Gotcha.
So that's encouraging them to go, hey, how do I help out the server? How do I start to learn how to be that assistant with the server and get in there and start to serve? In the kitchen, how do I learn that extra station? How do I go from being the dishwasher to turning around, and how do I start helping on the saute line?
Mm-hmm.
Or making the pizzas? How do I go from being that delivery driver to starting to work on some prep?
Yeah.
How do I, and then start being able to cross-utilize those people? Because, if I have someone who can work 4 or 5 positions for me, that's far more efficient and far more productive than that person who, they might be the best employee, but if they can only do one thing for me, well, that's great when I need them to be firing that one thing.
Yeah.
But essentially, that's my peaks.
Yeah.
Where I need that utility player in my troughs.
Right.
Because I can have that one person doing a couple of different tasks at the same time.
Yeah.
And get that, still maintain my service levels.
Yeah.
Rather than having 10 different people in the building at the same time. Because unfortunately, we just can't afford it with labor costs these days.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, let's put it back on you. Everyone walks in the door going, I need $55 an hour to, wash your dishes. And great, no problem. You can definitely earn what you need to earn here. But this is how we do it. You start at this point, and as you learn more, you'll earn more.
Yeah.
And we have X amount for every station.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter whether I like you or not, or what I think about you personally. You learn this and you take this on.
Yeah.
It's an automatic. Our payroll just triggers up and up and up and up.
Right.
As you keep getting these job codes.
Yeah.
And that means that from a management perspective, when they start talking to their people and someone's coming and going, I got to make more money.
Yeah.
My manager can just go back, okay, what station you want to learn next?
Yeah.
That's up to you.
Yep.
You want to make more money in 2 months? Then you're going to learn a lot more in 2 months.
Yeah.
You want to do it in 2 years? Then it's going to take you 2 years.
Yeah.
But it goes back to the employee to control their own earning ability.
Yeah.
And then it also encourages them to keep driving, keep striving, keep pushing themselves within our business to be that stronger employee for us, that more committed, that more bought-in employee.
Yeah.
And they see the financial reward for that too.
I noticed the gentleman out here, he's got on a pair of Crocs.
Yep.
I'm so excited about this, man. I hope it works out. We're talking to Crocs. Like, I'm going to be out in Boulder where they're headquartered in a couple weeks, trying to work out a deal. Because they have, like, he's got the ones with the holes and the, like, you could put gibbets in. But they have that's like Crocs at work or hospitality at work shoes or whatever they have that are like, there's no holes.
Yeah.
And they're like designed for kitchens and stuff. No slip traction. But we're talking to them about providing an opportunity through ScheduleFly for our users to buy their Crocs at some discounted price or something like that. Like we're trying to figure out ways to leverage the fact that we've got 250,000 people across our footprint, and they're very engaged in ScheduleFly. They're on it all the time, so anything we put in front of them, they're going to see. And so we're trying to find ways. I just noticed I'm super excited about if we can find ways to leverage our whole network to find cool things that y'all could benefit from because you use ScheduleFly.
And we've started doing that ourselves. So one of our actual local breweries here in Jacksonville, they've been very aggressive in trying to go from being just a nice niche craft brewery into getting into more distribution.
Yeah.
And the easiest way to spread your distribution is either going into the big supermarket chains, which is very hard, very difficult, or getting into restaurants and getting the people power behind you.
Right.
And they had a seasonal that they do that's aligned with college football. So we're like, we'll get on that because no one else stocked it, only the brewery. So we were their first distribution for that, and that allowed us to set up as college football places and stuff like that. And for us, we're not sports bars.
What's the name of the brewery?
It's called Fishware Brewery over in Murray Hill.
Very cool.
And the owner is a Florida State alumni. So she did a golden ale and calls it Garnet. So it's Garnet Golden Ale. Yeah. So it's not associated with the school. It's just a good play on the name of the golden ale. But you'd only ever been able to buy it at the brewery. Yeah. Until this year. And so we're like, if you want us to put a beer on, I want that beer. Yeah. And they're like, we don't normally do it through distribution, but okay. You've got 5 restaurants, let's give it a go. I said, and what we'll do is we'll make sure we're playing all the Florida State games. Yeah. So that people who are attracted to that beer are going to want to buy it anyway. Yeah. And like I said, we're not a sports bar, nothing like that, but where we have this nice little niche is, this is a really good family environment. Yeah. And there's a lot of people, probably like yourself, Will, you say to your wife, hey, I'm going to go watch the football at a big sports bar. Yeah, it's a harder conversation to say, hey, I can go take the kids to the Al's Pizza. Yeah, right. I'll have a couple of beers while we watch the football. I'll get them some pizza. Absolutely. All right. We'll at least watch a half of football, maybe the whole game. Yeah. Wife goes, no worries, taking the kids. Have a good night. That's right. That's right. And that's the niche where we sit in is, it's not that sports bar, but, it's a good family atmosphere to come watch this stuff. So that's how we started off the relationship. And I said, when this finishes, I'd really love to have our own beer. Yeah. Because no one else around has their own beer, like a house beer. Yeah. And so, they came in and they tried a whole heap of different things. And if you look over at the draft tab right now, you'll see Al's beer on draft. Oh, my God. That's freaking awesome. Sitting right next to Yuengling. Sitting right. Do you know, quick aside, do you know that Yuengling is the largest American brewery? Because all the other ones are owned by foreign companies. Yuengling is up in Pottsville, Pennsylvania. And down here, they have a distribution down here. They're only on the East Coast. It's like 4th generation family-owned brewery. I love that. I think that's really cool. I love those sort of stories, too. I listened to this podcast called How I Built This. And it's all these, like, people that have started and built really cool businesses. And they had the guy, I think he's literally like 4th generation. And he runs the Yuengling now. And the guy's interview, he's like, dude,
you know you could sell your brew for like billions. Obviously, you know that. He's like, why don't you? He's like, why would I? Like, I get up every day. I drive 3 miles down to the office. It's an important business that our family's been building for generations. My kids are now starting to get involved. They'll be 5th generation. Like, I got everything I need. We're only on the East Coast. We could grow forever. Like, but I still don't even have all the markets on the East Coast yet. Like, why would I go sell? Like, what would I do? They're like, well, I don't know, but he's like, I'm all right. Like, we're good. Like, I love that so much.
Yeah.
So I heard that story, and I knew of Yingling. But now, like, when I find it, I'm like, give me some Yingling, man. I like that. I'll support that. Now, I want to see owls, man. I got to try some of that before I go, even though it's before noon. But that's okay. I do want to have some. Like, when do y'all open at 11?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So before I roll, I want to have some pizza and try a sip of owls. I'm not gonna have a whole beer, but I don't drink much anymore. I had like barely at all, and we were over at Poe's last night. I had me and my buddy, long college buddy. I had 3 Coors Banquets. Most beers I've had back to back in years, like 3. I like woke up with a headache. I was like, God dang, I'm getting old. Like, that's freaking. But anyway, that's really cool, man. Owls, freaking, God, that's awesome.
But these are the things too that we've got to start to do.
Yeah.
One of the great things with COVID is it created so much innovation in the hospitality industry.
Yes, it did.
But now that COVID's essentially finished, everyone's like, "Whew, I've been innovating for 2.5 years, 3 years. I can rest now." No, we've got to keep going. We've got to keep finding these little things where we're a little different, we're a little better, we're a little bit more unique.
Yep.
Because the competition is still there, and even stronger than ever.
I was going to say it's funny because I was literally sitting here and like, I mean, there's just 4 restaurants I'm looking at right across the street. I just walked over here from the hotel. There's several of them are yours, but then there's all these other. I mean, that's the thing about people are always open in restaurants.
Yeah,
all the time. I don't care what the economy is like. They're always opening. There's always competition. Everybody's fighting for those customers. Good to have a lot around, and like the rising tide lifts all boats. If there's a lot around, it attracts a lot of people to this area. That's good, but like you can't rest. No,
and so how do we find those little things that keep us relevant, yet still protecting our history?
Mm-hmm.
Our pizza is our pizza.
Yeah.
But it's cool we have our own beer.
It is cool we have our own beer.
It's things like that we do that we just keep having to keep moving that envelope, keep pushing, keep modernizing what we do.
Yeah.
While still keeping our DNA at heart.
What is it like? What kind of pizza? Is it like New York style? Like what's the...
Yes, we're New York style pizza. Yeah. So Al learned how to make pizza in Brooklyn.
Okay.
And then moved down to Jacksonville with his family.
Yeah.
Kept working as he finished high school in a pizzeria down here, New York style, and then opened up his own restaurant, which is the Al San Pablo and Beach location.
Yeah.
35 years ago, and it's still there.
He was a young dude when he opened that.
He was. It's like 22, 23.
I love it. The grinder, hustling. Yeah. Man, that is great.
And had enough money to stay open for 2 weeks.
Had enough money to stay open for 2 weeks.
And 35 years later, we're still here. We're bigger, stronger.
Man.
And really are a Jacksonville institution now.
Yeah.
Anyone you ask about in Jacksonville, like Al's Pizza, people know.
Yep, for sure. No.
So many people grew up on Al's Pizza.
Yeah. I got to tell you, man, I just immediately, we came in here last night, that little boutique hotel over there, this whole area, I was like, this place is so freaking cool. So I'm going to figure out a way sometime later this year. I want to come back. We have a lot more customers around here. I love the area. I want to come stay in that hotel for like 2 or 3 days. I'd love to. Would Al ever do an episode like this, or is he?
Probably.
I'd love to meet him either way. I'd love to meet him. I'd really like to meet him. But I got to come back and hang with y'all a little bit more. This is like everybody I've met down here is really cool. Like I heard great things about y'all. I mean, my friend has that's with me. He's got a buddy. We just had coffee with him this morning. That guy lives here. He works for this I think it's like right over here. It's like some private equity group right around the corner here, right up the street. Anyway, I think he knows Al. He was he was saying all these great things about y'all's group, and so was Don Nickel yesterday over Taco Lou. You got a great reputation, doing great work.
And that goes back to how we started our conversation was you do business the right way.
Yeah.
Don't look for the short terms. And again, a lot of times in our industry, people are looking for that short term win,
Mm-hmm.
and that goes through to their suppliers, that goes through to their guests, that goes through to their staff.
Yeah.
Al has never been like that. He's looking at long term. He has those long term relationships and that loyalty.
Yeah. Yep. Well, that stuff. It's like if you're smart enough and wise, particularly at a young age like that, 22, to have that long vision and not be myopic and really think like I want to build something, for decades. It's like you got to hustle hard and you got to grind hard for a long time. But if you're willing to keep grinding long enough, it's like the hockey stick thing. Like you're on the blade for a really long time, and then things start to, things like interest compounding and everything else. It'll start compounding, and then all of a sudden it just grows and grows on itself, and it's like all that early hard work just pays off, and and then you just got to just keep the thing going, keep the train going, keep, like you said, innovating, and stay dialed in. And I love this industry. I think it's a great industry. It's one of the coolest industries in the world to me, or the coolest, because of the fact that, like, man, if you really are willing to put in the work and have that long-term vision, you can be successful in this industry. I mean, it's a hard one. Like you always hear, like, oh, restaurant failure rate. Yeah, but like there's certain, like, if you have the right mentality and the hustle, and you treat people well, you can do it. You just got to do that every day for a long time, and
that's why it's a hospitality industry.
Yeah,
you got to be hospitable to people all the time.
All the time, everywhere you go. Yeah, Chris, thanks, man. This is awesome.
Absolute pleasure.
I'm like kind of starting, like I've started thinking about the pizza, and now I'm starting to like kind of drool. So I want to get some of your pizza if I can before we roll. All right, well, that's a wrap, y'all. Thanks for listening. More coming soon. See ya.